Hello, welcome to another one of my Circuit V2 tutorials. Today we're going to go over some miscellaneous objects, basically gadgets, that have basically been added into CV2. Now you pretty much know all of these, but in CV1. Now we got them here and they are much better than they were in CV1, and you'll see that in a second. Now, directly looking at it right now, some of you might think that this is going to be difficult. But pretty much, no, it's not going to be difficult. It's way easier to understand, it's way easier to keep track of what's going on, keep organized, and we got a few more options than we normally have, at least for text. So, pretty much, we're going to go over them one by one, and you'll see at the end that this is really simple, and I've said it a few times already. Circuits V2 are self-explanatory, and you can very quickly figure out what each and everything does as soon as you know all the pins. Again, if you don't know the pins yet, you should go over to my introduction CV2 video where I explain everything. So let's start. Let's start with the sound effect V2. Looking at it right now, it's not much. We have a play. That's it. Well, because we have to configure it for more options. So originally, the sound effect chip is already set on 2D audio. That's why there's a tick for 3D audio. So if we click, it's 3D audio, but if we unclick it, 2D. So, next, we have 24 little pages of, just any sound effect. We're gonna use sparkle, just every time. Interrupt current sound means that if it's playing anything, it'll interrupt it and play the other one. Or if you spam it, pretty much. Change volume if you want to make it quieter or louder than it already is. Oops. And then that's it. If the thing is grabbable, pickup key has nothing to do with CV2. And hiding games, just, if you don't want to see it during games. So, let's do this. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna spawn in a button, which is on the dynamic. We're just gonna use this one. So we're gonna hook it up, and let's actually make it interrupt. So, there you go. This is the most basic functionality of the sound effect chip. But if you want to go more in depth, because as you can see it does have an identifier pin, we go to the Circuits V2 tab and go to the back, where we have a few things. Sound effects get volume, is playing, play, set volume, and stop. Already you probably know what all of these do, even though I just pretty much read out the name. So sound effect get volume, when we hook it up, we display it. All this does is tells us what the current volume of the sound effect chip is. Sound effect is playing. It just tells us in a boolean value, so true or false, if it's currently playing a sound or if it isn't. Sound effects play basically has the same function than this already. So if we do this, or if we just tell the chip which sound effect chip to activate, we activate that instead of that, it's the same thing, it's just external. Next up, sound effect set volume. Pretty much we just hook up somewhere to activate, we tell which sound effect chip to work with, and set the volume of it. This, it just set the volume. The last one, which is sound effect stop, it's just we tell it what to work with and if we want to stop it. So what we're gonna do, when we press it, it's gonna play, right? But if we release it, it's gonna stop. So configure it to something more longer. Yeah, this. So this takes a while. See? So let me hold it. But I let it go, it just deactivates. So if I press it, not much happens. You just hear a millisecond of the sound. So as long as I'm holding it, it's going to be playing, but if I release it, we activate the stop. There you go. So that's it for the sound effect chip. Next up, we have our trusty emitter. So start. Remember, when we activate a power pin on the left, power pin on the right just outputs a signal when, you know, it just basically just goes through. You activate the chip and it also outputs a signal if you need it after. So we start, we stop emitting, set looping. Set looping only works, basically, whatever this is gets set when you activate it. So if it's false and you activate this, looping will be set to false. But true, looping will be true. Set size of the particles, and pretty much the direct size of what you want. This time we don't just have integers, right? In CV1 you were only able to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But here we have a more specific value. So now instead of having the size 4, we can have it 3.6 if we wanted to. Set speed, how fast, you know, it'll be emitting, and again, precise value, and set color, and the traditional color values in there. So to show you in action real quick, we are gonna use a button again, and when we click it, we're gonna make it start emitting. So if we configure the sound effect, the emitter itself, we have all of these again. We're gonna use boost. There you go. So as you can see, it's set to loop. So this is now turned on. So if we activate the stop, it just stops, right? So we're gonna do the same thing like we did with sound effect chip. So we're gonna press is gonna go to start, release is gonna go to stop. Doing its thing, release it, stops. Also, we can basically disable looping. So let's click that. Looping is now set to false. We start it. It'll basically run for as much as one cycle lasts and stop. But if we set looping to true, start it, it's pretty much gonna go on for as long as we let it, because when it finishes its normal cycle, it's just gonna start again. So now while that's going on, let's set the size to 100. Click it. You can see it's gotten a bit bigger. Set the speed. Let's set the speed. Set the speed to 100 as well. Why not? Click it. There you go. It's going much faster now. Yeah, there you go. Basically, we are so fast with it that it can't keep up. Color. Set the color to 3. I don't know what the color will be actually. Well, just click it. The color would be... Actually, I don't think you can set the color of the boost, but you get what this does, and that's the main thing. So, just like the sound effect chip, the emitter also has its external things. So, set color works the same way as our set color over there, just that we have to define, you know, which one to work with. Set looping does the same thing as set looping, just that we have to tell again which one to work with. Set size, set speed, both are on the main chip, just external if we need it somewhere else. Start and stop, also on the chip. So basically, emitter is pretty much kitted out with every single thing that it can do. So now the point light and the spotlight. So we turn it on, both here. We turn it off, both here. Set color to both, set range to both, and the intensity. The spotlight only has another option for us to tell us what angle to shine at. So, same as with the emitter and sound effect. Lights also have their own things, so set angle, set color, intensity, range, turn it off, turn it on. All of these things are already on both of these. So you don't really have to, you know, listen to me explain it all over again, because you know what the targets do. You just have to connect the identifier to this and pretty much activate them. That's it. So that's for our lights. And now finally the text tool. Basically, when we activate our circuit, whatever is in here will be set as the text. So let me show you. I'm gonna set the text to high again. There. Button goes there. We press it. It just changes to high. Color, you can set the color of it to whatever. We're gonna set it to 3. Okay, it's green. And I set material. Set it to, I don't know, 5, let's say. Okay. It changed material, but I am on the quest and it's hard to see unless I by accident put on the glossy plastic material. Not too sure myself. But yeah. So whenever we set text, we can also use the signal further on. Now, of course, just like any of the other things that I've shown you, the text also has external functions. So set color, set material, set text, and all of these are on the text circuit itself. So there you go. Those are pretty much the miscellaneous circuits, miscellaneous objects you can use. I'm pretty sure that the explanations were easy enough to understand because these objects are really self-explanatory, but in case it wasn't, make sure to ask under the YouTube comments or on my CV2 class server, BOC, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can.